sister's a therapist and I tell jokes. We both want to help all kinds of folks.
Hello, and welcome to My Sister's a Therapist. This is a podcast where I, comedian Virginia Jones, talk to my sister, Laura Lee Ryan, who is a therapist.
We're going to bring in my middle name. Okay. Virginia Lynn Ryan Jones. Okay, let's get that straight. I'm Laura Ryan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, but my main credit is sister to Bantersmith, Virginia Jones.
Bantersmith. They're just getting worse and worse. I know at one point we'll just run to the end of the English language and you won't be able to do any of these anymore. And I'm looking forward to it.
Think again, sucker. I have a couple bits of news for you. Just FYI, we're number 11 in Singapore now.
Well, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Gall dang.
We're something. And I want you to know that we are now charting in Apple Podcasts for mental health in the United Arab Emirates.
Well, hey, hello, Dubai.
We missed you.
We are open for sponsorships and we are cheap.
I also would like to welcome our listeners from Bangladesh, from Portugal, and Australia is back in second position. You knocked out the UK. Good one, Australia.
Good on ya. Laura, this week it's your topic. What are we talking about today?
We have really gotten an influx of listener ideas, and I want to thank everybody who's sent in something. I will get to your episode at some point in the near future. And if you have an idea for a podcast episode, send us an email at hello@mysistersatherapist.com.
And while we're at the top of the episode, let's just go ahead and ask if you think positive things about us and you'd like to write us a review, we will read it and you'll be very famous.
And if you're thinking negative things about us, just
keep it to yourself.
Just go. You can leave the podcast running because we could use the download, but just don't tell anybody.
Tell your dog, man, these girls stink on ice.
Write it in your diary and then set it on fire. So this week's episode is about the ick. Hello, Laura and Virginia. I don't know if this would work, but possible podcast theme, the psychology of the ick. What types of experiences cause the ick? A turnoff, a red flag, self-sabotage, etc. Personal experiences when you got the ick? This is something that happened in almost every relationship for me up to now. And in my case, I'm pretty sure it was usually self-sabotage. I love that now it has a name and I know it's a thing and wasn't just a me thing. There's a new show that I really like on Netflix called Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell. It feels a little Hallmarky, but it's about two sisters who have a podcast. Hey. It sounds like a great idea. It's about sex and relationships and they talk about their current relationships. They're both single and there's an episode about Kristen Bell getting the ick and coming back from the ick. I don't think I've ever been able to come back from the ick. So that's where I got the idea. Maybe it's too weird to take that from a show about sisters with a podcast. I love your podcast and I listen every week. Sincerely, Christy. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, Christy. Item 1, obviously they stole that from us. We need compensation.
Yeah, we need cash money. And I think Kristen Bell has a little bit to share.
I've seen spots for that. It looks cute because I enjoyed how mean the one sister is. And it reminded me of our dynamic where you're very mean to me almost all the time.
Oh, I thought I was the younger, more attractive, smarter, sweeter sister.
Well, think again.
What does the ick mean? I found out from dictionary.com. The ick is a term used in dating to refer to a sudden feeling of disgust or repulsion to a dating partner someone was previously attracted to. The ick describes it as if it were a fictional disease or sickness. Often someone is said to get or catch the ick when they are suddenly repulsed by a person they were once attracted to. Virginia, have you ever gotten the ick?
Oh, yes. I think the ick is just part of getting to know someone because when you first meet someone, they are a tabula rasa, right? They're just a blank screen that you're projecting all of your ideas on about who you want them to be. I think the ick happens when the first thing occurs that is not on your list and you feel a little bit betrayed because you're like, I didn't sign off on this. Birds? You have birds?
You wear Tevas with socks?
This is not the boyfriend I had in my mind.
It's like they're not fitting the fantasy that you made up about them.
Yeah, it's very much talked about on TikTok as well as nobody asked for this. There's all kinds of girls getting all kinds of ick for all kinds of reasons. When I have gotten it, I think frequently looking back, and I'm projecting this on our lovely listener, Christy, I got it a lot of times because I am avoidant. The ick is a great way to put a little distance between yourself and the person. Laura, have you ever gotten the ick?
Yes. It's brief. It happens a lot. Suddenly his face will be doing something really weird. Or he wants me to watch a movie about an AI girlfriend.
Right.
And he tells me it's his favorite movie and it's one of the crappiest movies I've ever seen. And also has a really bad story about women in it.
Now, the movie we're talking about is Her, and it's a good movie.
No, it's not.
Here's what I think is icky about that. Because dude in question thought that it was a love story, when in fact it is about the shallowness and hollowness of our relationships and social media and our interactions with computers. And it's sad. It's sad and scary. But he was like, and he's in love with Scarlett Johansson. No,
he's not.
He's not.
He's in love with an AI that he keeps in his pocket. He's having a weird fake relationship and he's building his whole life around it because he's a weird person, just like possibly that person was.
Speaking of, we were talking about a very interesting TikTok idea that part of the reason that people are having trouble forming meaningful relationships is that we have used up all our dopamine online. When you're sitting across the dinner table from someone, you don't have any good feeling left.
And you got nothing.
You got nothing. You're scrabbling at the walls. If I'm sitting with you, but I get more dopamine from my phone, then here I am flipping through Tinder on a date.
And then suddenly you have spaghetti on your face and then that's it. It's a wrap.
And that's it. That's the thing about the ick is it can be anything, but some of these guys' crimes are extremely minor. Wearing the wrong shoes, ordering something weird to eat, liking something that they don't like.
I'm going to quote the episode in question. It's season 1, episode 6 of Nobody Wants This, and it's called The Ick. Listen, I saw that face. You got the ick. What? No. Yeah. I mean, it threw me a little that he came dressed up as a hip youth pastor. Yeah, but I still like him. I don't have the ick. Sweetie, you can't fight the ick, okay? It's like a Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull, the stronger it gets. The sister is doing an impression of the ick thing that the character Noah does. Prego, prego. He started saying prego? Really?
That's pretty bad.
In a bad Italian accent. And then she says, what? Morgan? Ooh, okay, fine. I'm sorry. I had to. I have the ick, okay? I know. Are you happy? Yes. I can't believe I ever let him touch me with those giant flower holding hands. Brought flowers, a bouquet that was, according to her, too big.
That's really digging. One time I went on a date with a man and I didn't like him and I was going on a date to be nice and you shouldn't do that. And when we got there, he presented his tickets to the usher and he said, which way do we go, George? Which way do we go? And if I never had the ick before, I had it then.
Was the man named George?
No, it's the bit from
the cartoons, right?
Cartoon. Yeah, he was quoting a Looney Tune to me and I didn't want to be there anymore.
He wanted to disappear. I remember once I was on a vacation with someone and I was sleeping and this person approached me with a Donald Duck Porky Pig thing with the t-shirt and no underwear. And he was sort of giving me a come hither look. And that was it.
I don't think the Donald Duck look makes anyone want to go anywhere.
So, it makes you want to go into a hole and die.
I was thinking about this the other day. We always say Donald ducking it, but Porky Pig does do the same thing. Scot-free. Why? Because he's a pig?
Winnie the Pooh never wears pants.
Winnie the Pooh's never worn pant one.
Exactly. I think it's because Donald Duck wears that hat. I think it really kind of throws everything off.
It's 2/3 of an outfit.
You really wore the hat. You're dressing that up, but then you don't have any pants on. So Joanne, the main character, is talking about other times that she's felt the ick. Remember when I saw Wyatt running with a backpack? It just kept like clapping against his body. That literally makes me sick. Wow. I know it's terrible. When I was about to move in with Anthony, then I saw him chasing a ping pong ball and never caught it. He could still be chasing it for all I know. Could have been the love of my life, but no regrets. Can't unsee something like that.
What a lot of pressure this is. Because if I can accept no imperfections in my partner, that means I also have to be perfect all the time. I have to be sitting up straight, wearing a corset, brushing my teeth. I have to be everything dead on.
I think the implication is that I am already perfect and this person has to meet my perfect standards, right? There's an article called Got the Ick, When a Sudden Pang of Disgust Ruins Your Romance by Rhik Samadder. Jerry Seinfeld rejected women on a weekly basis for having man hands, being too tanned, talking too high or too low, eating peas one at a time. Do you remember that?
I didn't watch a great many of these television episodes because I don't think that Jerry Seinfeld is funny, but he'd break up with women for terrible reasons. And he would name it something. One lady would finish his sentences, which is annoying. But then he started saying, she's a sentence finisher. Well, that's not a saying.
I think that was kind of the point. They would have these little stupid catchphrases and they would be funny. I thought Seinfeld was very funny, but I wondered to myself if I was going to irresponsibly diagnose Jerry Seinfeld as a human because he wrote that show.
Right.
What is this saying about him?
Well, what's saying about him is that what he really wanted to do at the time was to date a high school student.
That he met in a park?
Yep. Jerry did a voice to make fun of her belly button with his friends. She found out and made him choose between her and the voice. Jerry chose the voice. So she was upset that he mocked her.
Right.
And mocked her body.
I think he may have also gotten dumped for wearing a pirate shirt.
Yes.
I think that was something that somebody got the ick from.
Now, I have dated people who wear pirate shirts, but because I'm a goth, it's thumbs up.
Are any of those people named Dave Vanian?
Not yet. The main theme of Seinfeld is that, like me and potentially Christy, he was finding things wrong with women because he didn't want to have a serious relationship.
He was inventing reasons to dislike them.
Her hands are too big. She wore the same dress too many times.
There's a woman who was naked and she was opening a pickle jar. He decided that was bad naked.
That's a perfect example because that is intimacy. To see someone naked when you are making love, that's the acceptable naked. But then life goes on. Sometimes you want to get a pickle.
Sometimes you want to walk around with a t-shirt and no underwear.
Well, you shouldn't hit on people when you're doing that. I think the underlying theme was Jerry was super avoidant and he wanted to have sex with a lot of women, but he didn't want to date one. When he started feeling trapped, he would find something about their...
He would invent reasons to create distance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where does the idea of the ick come from?
It comes from the television series Ally McBeal.
Oh.
She tried to date a character named the Biscuit and she got the ick. In early Sex and the City, there was an episode called The Ick Factor that carried the torch for a while. But ickiness entered the popular lexicon after it became a stock phrase on a favorite show of yours and mine, an island-based reality dating show called Love Island.
So what I'm hearing from you is the ick is a sticky idea.
The ick has stick and it even rhymes.
People on Love Island are getting the ick because
they're the dumbest people that ever lived.
They're the dumbest people who look the best in swimsuits. That combination of things, because they are just talking nonsense to strangers. And they're spending 24 hours a day with strangers. So you're going to be constantly surprised by people rubbing you the wrong way or doing something you don't like. It's going to happen endlessly. And sometimes you get the ick just because someone hotter from a better part of England has moved into the villa and their accent is not quite as disgusting.
If you're not a Love Island viewer, what are you doing with your life?
You're wasting your life.
People will be coupled up and suddenly they'll bring in what's called a bombshell.
And everything gets shook up. You could be perfectly happy having a crush on a pool cleaner from Scunthorpe, but then the bombshell comes in and he's a stockbroker
from Brighton.
And then you just get the ick for the other guy just because he's not the new guy.
It's like the Tinder thought process. I think when you have access to innumerable people, it's very easy to cast off whoever happens to be around.
And to bring up another topic that we've talked about in the past, in Adlerian psychology, the ick is created because you want a reason to distance yourself. You're not distancing yourself because of the ick. Your brain, for whatever reason, wants to get out. And so it's going to find something for you to focus on.
I get the ick sometimes when people are talking to the guy in the elevator or talking to the person at the cash register. That gives me so much ick.
Do you know why that gives you the ick?
Yes.
Because it reminds you of our mother.
I remember dating someone. He was a very friendly person, but he was always talking to people on the plane. He was always having chit chat and superficial convos with randos, and it really gave me the ick.
Sometimes the ick is justifiable. If you sit down to dinner with someone and they're rude to the waiter, you'll get the ick, but that's for a good reason, because that person is a piece of garbage and they think that someone's job relative to their role makes them beneath them and they can talk to them in a certain way.
They talk about that in the article, it doesn't have to be a deal breaker by Isabel Mata. Just to be clear, sometimes the icks actually do illuminate an obvious sign of incompatibility. For instance, if you get ick from somebody being really short with a waiter or lighting up a cigarette or rolling their eyes at a crying baby, those might be more about mismatched values or personality differences than arbitrary ick responses.
It's not something relatively petty. Their pants are out of season or they drive a weird car.
Or he's wearing a pinky ring.
Oh, no, I think that's a good reason.
He's wearing those shoes that have toes in them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Vibrams. Did you know? I used to have a joke about the Vibrams because they gave me the ick so bad. Because no one wants to see men's feet. The whole idea was that it was supposed to make you a better runner. It was supposed to strengthen your feet. It didn't have all this padding and superfluous stuff, right?
I see. So you're really getting used to feeling your foot on the ground, gripping the ground and stuff. That makes sense. But don't go to Bennigan's with those on, man.
No, thank you. But the people who got into them got really into them. But did you know that was found not to be true? People had more foot injuries wearing Vibrams than wearing proper running shoes. And that company got hit with a class action lawsuit that meant basically every penny they'd ever taken in went back out.
Wow, that's a real kick in the nuts.
You ever wonder, why don't I see Vibrams anymore? Because they got sued out of existence.
I thought because they were disgusting and everyone decided that they hated them as much as I do. Have you heard of Joe Nickel, psychotherapist?
I haven't. Tell me all about Joe Nickel.
Joe Nickel is quoted in this article. Mostly the ick shows up in early stages of relationship because that's when we are really vigilant. So we're scanning for flaws. We're second guessing the criticisms of our peers. Social media, unsurprisingly, amplifies this concern with how we appear to others, our tragic vanity, and distance from perfection. Nickel also lays a fair share of the blame at the gates of Love Island's Casa Amor. They're incredibly immature on that island with not fully formed brains.
I was with someone who I really liked and I thought was really interesting. And I remember he had a real particular thing, I think because he was maybe a corn addict and he had a very specific way to reach culmination.
Yeah.
And I really could not handle it. It looked ridiculous.
Was he singing Relax, Don't Do It?
He pointed at his toes was part of it.
Oh, gosh. Okay. And he did something weird with his face?
Yep. And I thought, well, that's it for me.
I guess I'm going to put a pillow over my head and wait for death. The story that I make up about this person I've never met is that he was going inward too much. He was not engaging with you.
And he wasn't in the moment with me. Yeah.
So when a person is penetrating your body, you really need them to be there with you.
Be paying attention. Yeah. I think
notice that you're there. Joe Nickel also said that ick is short for sick. It's baby talk and suggests a childish engagement in adult relationships.
I don't know if I agree with that because icky predates the ick, but the etymology of the ick is old. So I don't think it means the last 3/4 was sick. So I'm going to fight that guy.
What they say is no one gives you the ick. You do it to yourself. It is your infantilization, your fear of animal part, your smallness, your ugliness. But here I go again. I don't mean you, I mean me. We're all critical all the time, even if we never voice it. But that's not all there is to people. As for emotional hacks, it's better to feel the pain of someone not fancying you back, honestly, to honor your heart's choice without fouling them.
When you mention trying to avoid pain through rejecting before you get rejected, I think that's a huge part of young people's attitude in relationships. What they say on TikTok, anyway, is they're looking for a reason to jettison before the other person jettisons them as competition, because it does feel so hard to have intimacy.
And I think it's also that avoidant attachment. I'm feeling too close and I'm afraid of rejection. So I'm going to go ahead and decide that your pinky ring is a problem. Basically, you can turn terrified towards real intimacy with a human being, accepting that attraction waxes and wanes like the phases of the moon, because love of perfection is not love at all. That's never where it shows up, thank God. Most of us are unheroic, occasional failures. We don't feel like we're making things up. They feel real to us, but we actually are making them up. We are doing what psychotherapists call post-rationalization. In short, human beings are masters in the art of post-rationalization. And what we need to do is evolved to learn to sit with not knowing the reason for a feeling. But that can be very tricky.
I did break up with someone once because they cheated at Scrabble. Where do you think that lands on the ick?
To me, that feels valid because if I'm going to cheat on a game of chance, basically,
That doesn't mean anything.
something where the stakes are low. I remember that in an early relationship. I found out pretty soon into the relationship that he had a scheme where he was basically funneling money out of his job. And I remember thinking,
What does it say about him?
that's not great. And then I discovered, what this says is that this man has a very loose relationship with honesty and the truth, and he will do what he wants to get what he wants, even if it means lying to me. So to me, the Scrabble guy would fall into that.
The way he cheated was,
Tell me more. Give me all the tea.
he flipped over a tile that he found difficult to use and pretended that it was a blank tile, as if I don't know there's 2 blank tiles in every game.
That is so gross.
Isn't that gross?
Yes.
Later, he got drunk and smashed his Jeep.
Was it the same day?
No, it was not the same day. I do think that was a good indicator that this was not a good partner for me. And if you'd had your head on a swivel, you might have known that premeditated dishonesty that he was perpetrating again and again was about something deeper in his personality.
It wasn't just, hey, he's a broke college student and he's trying to make some extra money however he can. Because I think that's how I made it okay in my mind. I thought, well, he's broke and he's trying to go.
We're all running scams of some kind.
Right, exactly. Pricked up my ears a little bit and I paid attention. But again, if I had it to do over again, because he was very dishonest with me throughout all of our relationship. If I had it to do over again, that would have been probably it. I probably would have said, I don't really feel comfortable with somebody that's duplicitous. And unscrupulous.
I don't know if when I was younger, I would have had the clarity to say that's what it looked like, because it feels dumb. I'm breaking up with you. Why? Because you steal money from work. Who cares?
Because I know you're going to steal money from me later.
Later on, I'm looking into the future.
The way that you treat other people is how you're going to treat me. So that's like that waiter idea. If you are super disrespectful to people who you don't think are in a position of power, that means that at some point, because I'm a cishet woman, you're going to put me in that position later because women don't have any power in the patriarchy.
You feel that you're above other people, and that's unattractive.
At some point, you're going to feel like I'm not important or that you're above me, and I don't want that.
I think we've all had this experience. You're on a date with a guy, and he's telling you about his terrible exes. Oh, they're the worst. Oh, this one, that one. Oh, she did this. And it doesn't take a deep think to realize you're going to be on that. Like, if you stay here, you're going to be on that list. And he's going to be telling terrible stories about you to strangers.
Well, if you're a pick-me, you'll never be on that list because you abandoned yourself and all women in order to date men. Phoebe Shepard, a clinical psychologist, says feelings are not facts, they're just information. Shepard treats a lot of clients with complex trauma that traces back to their childhoods. And she's found that the way that they're instantly drawn to someone is not always a good thing because what feels familiar is a sort of trauma or chaos they experienced as kids. I do wonder sometimes if someone's feeling like they have the ick is actually their body saying, this is not familiar. This feels strange.
This feels unusual to me. Feelings are not facts, even though conservatives will say it in order to try to hurt liberals' feelings. There is something to that. You've been in a conversation where someone says, and then he was trying to disrespect me, or she was cutting me down, or she was judging me. Well, that's just your perception of what was happening. That's not a neutral report. This is just, you might have misunderstood something. You might be 100% correct, but you might be filling in the blanks in your own mind.
Our own minds are not necessarily the most trustworthy
source of information. We learn this all the time. There's a traffic accident and they ask 4 different people what happened, and 4 different people have completely different ideas of what occurred.
I remember I was playing Cards Against Humanity with some friends, and one of the friends determined that the way that I was arching my eyebrows meant something and was extremely offended and held it against me probably for the rest of my life.
So they're still doing it?
Well, they're not in my life anymore, but they still hate me.
You should call them every 5 years and go, are you still mad about that eyebrow thing?
You should just take pictures of my eyebrows and send them.
I want to touch base on something we sped past that Joe Nichols said. Love is not loving someone perfect, because anyone could love someone perfect. And that's the love you have for a God. That's worship. But nobody's perfect. Nobody perfect. Real love and intimacy is loving someone not despite their imperfections, but because of their imperfections. They say that in Hallmark movies a lot. I think it's true because it's recognizing this person is just another person. You accept what is not ideal about them because of all the things that are great about them. And then hopefully they accept the things that are not ideal about you. And that's a very hard idea for me because I really try to be pretty good a lot of the time. And it's real tiring sometimes.
Sometimes being perfect comes naturally, like for me. And, I just have to live in that.
And I've always been jealous. I say, why can't I be perfect? Like my little sister.
Like my beautiful sister who's never made a mistake and always done everything just right.
I think that part of social media means kids feel pressured to be perfect because of this image that they're being shown. And they think, oh, in order to be in love, it means that you are a perfect person and you found a perfect person and you're going to be together just ruling, basically.
And I think social media affects that too, because I can be perfect in a still photo that's been heavily edited for 12 to 14 hours.
Where you have the right lighting, you're wearing your best outfit, you're standing up straight.
You don't have spinach in your teeth.
I dated a guy who maybe I'd give it to. We were playing video games and he took a candid photo of me. I was not paying attention. It was from the side and I was looking down. I'm sure I had about 12 chins. I looked at his phone and he was confused. He was like, oh, I've taken a bad picture of you, which doesn't seem possible. I'm like, oh, it's extremely possible.
Yeah. Somebody was saying, oh, I understand how you get perfect pictures of your toddler. It's because you take 5,000.
Right. And you get the one picture where he's not screaming or putting anything up his nose.
Right. I think the challenge, as Rachel Goldberg describes it, is teasing apart when the ick is a valid reason to end a potential relationship or when it's just something that's worth pushing through and trying harder with.
And I think it's more common early in a relationship, but I've gotten middle-aged relationships where just all of a sudden something they're doing and have always done starts making me crazy.
It goes back to what Adler says is, I'm not happy in my relationship. And so now these things that used to be neutral are a problem.
Are negatives.
The way you snore, the way you breathe, or the way that you blow your nose. I've been really grossed out by the way some people blow their nose. Alejandra Galindo, LMFT, said the trick is to understand and address where the reaction comes from. If your immediate response to someone scooching across a booth and saying the word scooching is the barf emoji, try to feel your feelings. Taking a pause can help you to understand more about the emotions coming up to the surface when you're feeling icked out. It's possible that there are feelings underneath the ooh, like fear or contempt. And that's worth unpacking. It's hard to do, but we can do it.
Another thing that maybe feeds into this, and I've talked about it before, the talking phase is bad because you are filling a lot of your own blanks in about this person. So I think that it can occur when you meet a person in real life that you've made up a lot of stories about, and then those two things don't line up.
It's like the bad picture of the arcade. You have been talking with me for probably a solid week on the internet, and you've been curating all of your comments, and you've been finding quotes, places, and you're very witty and quick. And it feels like you've really got it on the ball. And then when we're sitting here together, you're stumbling on your words and you're saying dumb stuff and you're being weird.
A couple times I've had that where guys were so funny on text and then you sit in front of them and they're just like a stack of potatoes.
Not even fried ones.
No, raw potatoes. And the person who I had a crush on and wanted to go on a date with isn't real. This is a Cyrano de Bergerac type situation.
And I think that happened in Cyrano when she met the hottie who was actually a real straight up dummy. I feel like the internet is Cyrano now. I can write all sorts of quippy, witty, interesting things and have all kinds of fun comments at my fingertips at any moment.
What if at the end of Cyrano de Bergerac, she said, I'd really just rather be with the dummy.
I would respect her, man. Dude, you got a really big nose and I'm not feeling the vibes.
Not feeling it.
I just want to be with the dumb hottie. Disappointment is the condition of being alive.
Wow.
If you do find someone that you like who feels the same way, do what you can to guard that intangible flame. So here's the advice. So what do I do if I have the ick? Treat an ick as a relational junction. You can turn left and keep looking for this elusive, perfect person who completes us, or you can turn terrified towards real intimacy with a real human being, accepting that attraction waxes and wanes like the phases of the moon. Regarding relationship non-negotiables, there's certain things like we talked about that you're not going to get over, but it maybe warrants a conversation. What Galindo says is sit with the ick, identify the emotions, think about where this aversion came from, and talk to your partner about what you learned using I statements. That will help you to communicate your feelings while minimizing the risk of hurt feelings, no matter how niche your ick.
That's the important thing, is spending the time to tease out, is this an important thing? Or is this not an important thing? Is this person pro-life and politically we're on very different pages? Or does this person just have terrible taste in a movie or two movies, or think that the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie is the best movie and it's not even the best Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
I was trying to give him a shot. And then guess what? He let me down in a myriad of other ways. Virginia, in closing, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
I want to thank Christy for the topic. It's a ton of fun, but I do think it's a serious thing. If you just go with your gut 100% of the time, you could be walking away from relationships where you could learn something, relationships that would be good for you, good for your growth. I don't think that you're necessarily fated to be with a person forever, but you could have an experience that's valuable to you, even though they like to wear Crocs in the kitchen. Laura, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
Again, I do want to thank Christy for being such a dedicated listener and a very well thought out, wonderful topic. I'm going to go ahead and say, I love you, Christy. I would also say we have to figure this out. We have to determine, is this real? Is this a real thing? Or is this just a weird thing that I'm doing because I feel vulnerable? Is this a problem with this person's personality? Or is this just the fact that he likes coleslaw and I think it's gross?
Or he likes that cold carrot salad with raisins in it?
Oh, yeah.
There's so many parts of early love relationships that are not real. It does feel hard to tease out what is a real thing and what is a knee-jerk reaction. And you do have to have a little bit of self-reflection.
Right. And also patience. This is what I tell my couples all the time. You have to just sit for a second, wait, and think about it and go with that. I don't think anything has to be urgent. We can all just wait a second, take a deep breath, and try to figure out the next steps. So, Virginia, if someone wants to find out more about your comedy career, how would they do that?
You can visit me at www.badinia.com. I have a calendar of dates on there. And also, at the suggestion of a fan, I have made a 2025 downloadable calendar of myself. There is a Virginia Jones calendar available on my website, www.badinia.com.
Oh, so Virginia for every month?
Yep. You can also check me out on TikTok at Badinia and on Instagram at Badinia. That's right. It's always Badinia. Laura, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at my professional website, lauraryan.org. They can find me on TikTok. I am Laura Ryan. They can also follow the show on Instagram, My Sister's a Therapist Instagram, or they can go to our website, mysistersatherapist.com. Also, if you'd like to submit your idea, like Christy and many others, hello at mysistersatherapist.com. If you would like to find a way to give us lots and lots of money to promote your product or idea, send us an email at hireus@mysistersatherapist.com.
Quick reminder that we are very open to sponsorships from the following things: Liquid Death Water,
Waterloo Bubble Water,
Imperfect Foods,
Target.
Give this girl a Target gift card and watch her go.
Watch her live. Watch her come alive.
Watch her thrive. Laura, this is the part of the podcast where you sometimes read a listener review. Do you have one to share this week?
I most certainly do. This is from Angenius. God bless this haunted house. I'm a newer listener from Minnesota and I love this podcast. First, I have to thank Virginia for introducing us to the term haunted house as it refers to humans with pretty exteriors and spooky red flags inside. I love the Lego My Imago episode and built a session with my personal therapist around it. Laura always comes through with wit, experience, helpful resources, and breezy sarcasm, and Virginia's metaphors and insights are profound and impactful. Thank you for hosting such a great show with relatable content that's educational as well as comfy, like a chit chat with friends. wondering if you'd ever consider an episode about adult children of parents with personality disorders or an episode about perimenopause. If anyone can make the estrogen exodus fun, it's you two. All the best, Angie. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie. That's so sweet. We want to thank Angie. We want to thank all of our listeners. We want to especially thank the listeners that want to write us a listener review, because Laura gets really squirrely when we don't have very many in the bucket. And I just want to help. In closing, I would like to leave us with the immortal words of Billy Ray Valentine Capricorn. We can make it, baby.
Me and you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.